What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a wonderful night or day. Welcome back to some more Quinfall. As always, today we're going to be talking about the first iteration of things to improve for Quinfall. This is going to be a list of everything I've jotted down over the past couple of days while playing Quinfall, while reading other people's comments, that sort of thing. And I want it to serve as a letter to the developers, but also something I can keep for my own records. The first thing that I think I personally came across, and also heard other people say as well, is that pet energy should not be expended while you're just running around in the open world. Specifically, pets should not be able to drain energy while they're not looting items. Very often, I myself as well as others are very forgetful of the pet being out, and I know you could say just be more attentive, but I think it also doesn't make sense for the pet to be expending energy while it's not gathering. I think that is a reasonable claim, especially because we do have the feed chamber, and not only can you potentially forget that the pet's out, but also that the feed chamber is full of food. So I think that'd be more balanced and make more sense overall, save a lot of headaches in the future. Next thing, which was kind of already resolved, was that gathering tools take rift scrolls, which are currently, or were at the time, unavailable. The reason for this is the level 1 rifts were not working the first or second day, but they are active now. If you go on the map and you go over to the southwestern section, you can... Oh, maybe they're not active right now. Okay, we got a few. So that part's okay as far as the rift scrolls, but I think where people are coming from with that is it doesn't necessarily make sense for the tools to require rift stones as opposed to just metal or something, metal, wood, that sort of thing. I think if we required some wood and metal in there or took the rift scrolls out, it might make more sense. Personally, I think there's several things about the crafting that do need tweaking. I've been focusing more on armor smithing, and one thing that I've noticed personally is that it doesn't seem worth it to craft any other armor while leveling up your armor smithing other than the tier 1. So if you craft a tier 1, it just requires the baseline low quality items, the duration is 3 seconds, and it's going to give you 20 XP. Well, if I go down here and let's say I want to craft the Dreadnought armor, it's going to take the tier 2 materials, right, more expensive. It's going to take 72 seconds to craft. Or let's just be, let's just go down a little bit. Let's say we want to do dark steel. 45 seconds to craft and only gives you 45 armor smithing XP while requiring these items, which is more expensive. So clearly it seems like the smartest thing to do would just be to spam the frostbound armor, and this is the same exact thing for the other types of leather, other types of armor, other armor pieces, same thing. So what this did is it kind of caused the lowest tier materials to be the most expensive materials, because if you go on the broker right now, I'm sure either more expensive than the higher tier ones or completely out of stock. When I checked earlier, they were just completely out of stock. Oh, okay, so they're not out of stock, but they are currently pretty expensive. If I wanted to try to buy 200, I'd have to pay 444k. This is also translated to other professions, other items in general, and although I do think it's good for the lower tier resources to be useful throughout the entire game, this feels like it does need some balancing. I think one thing that can be done is making the higher tier armor take a shorter time to craft, but mostly just give it more XP, much more XP, so that it's actually worth it, and you could potentially do that in addition to reducing the duration for the craft, or just go solely for the XP so that it's actually worth crafting those items. Next thing, and this is a minor one, this is more for me honestly, no, I'm just kidding, but having a button to hide your HUD, not just during screenshots, but also a button for auto running. I feel kind of weird for asking this because normally games will have it by default, but I think I myself and a couple others are feeling quite naked right now without the ability to just auto run. I know we have the pathing, but being able to press numlock or tilde key when you want to go one specific direction, I think that would be something that would kind of complete the experience as far as the movement goes. And of course, you're probably going to hear a lot of quality of life stuff being talked about in this video. Of course, those aren't the only things that need to be tweaked. The combat, of course, needs to be tweaked. That's probably a whole video inside of itself with PvP and certain CCs not working right, some CCs being way too strong, etc., etc. But the next one, which is already being worked on, is server stability, which is obvious. That's something that's unfortunately still impacting us, although we do know why, or we know more of why, with the DDoS attack. So the next one is being able to increase your inventory space through in-game currency. I do appreciate that it's one of the more balanced types of monetizing the game, through the cash shop, and I'm sure they're going to make quite a bit of money off of it, but I also think that giving us the option to be able to increase the inventory through the in-game means as well could be a big benefit in tandem to that, or at the very least, being able to expand 10 to 20 of your inventory slots through in-game currency, and then the rest you have to get from purchasing in the cash shop, whether it's the inventory expansions or the support packs. You could also, of course, have that on an escalating scale where let's say you have to spend 10,000 to upgrade the first inventory slot, 20,000 for the next one, so on and so forth. Same thing goes for the storage too, of course. The next one was that debuffs may need a longer timer as far as slows and damage resistance reductions. This one, after learning the game more, I'm not sure if I still really believe in this one, although I think 5 to 7 seconds for some of the buffs that we're able to put on people can be a little low. But normally in combat, things are happening so quick that about 5 to 7 seconds of a debuff doesn't really seem all that bad. The next one, and sorry for going back to crafting, is being able to use a slider to craft X amount of the item you're making. That would be something that's extremely useful, especially on this one when you want to spam the tier 1 gear. The next one is to please increase the time between pirate spawns on land caravans. Full transparency, I do these a lot, especially while I'm working from home, so they can get especially annoying when I'm trying to sift away from a work ticket to try to kill some pirates, but I think the current timer is a little nutso. Like sometimes it feels like 10 minutes have gone by. I actually timed it at 10 minutes once. Then another time I timed it at about 6 minutes, and I feel like sometimes it's only a few minutes, and then the next pirate spawn is up again. And I can appreciate the concept, you know, to make sure that people aren't just doing it AFK willy-nilly. They could, however, do some cool stuff with the system, like making more pirates spawn based on how big of a caravan you have. If you're in a party and you're both leading caravans, that sort of thing could be pretty cool. The next one, cloth armor makes you way too fast. I've heard that you can be faster than your mount sometimes, which can't be intended, and I'm assuming they're talking about a low-level mount, but still, there's quite a bit of things that need to be fixed across the board in PvP and PvE, but this is probably one of the ones that especially needs to get tweaked a little bit. Another quality of life feature that could be really cool is an inventory lock function, basically being able to click a button and select all the items you don't want to be in danger of deleting or selling. Next one is an alert system for your clan base getting attacked. I'm not 100% sure if this is not a thing or if it is. I haven't really been paying attention, but this is one that I grabbed from the community. Another one is being able to sort your warehouse. At the moment, it doesn't seem like there's a sort button for this unless I'm just super blind. I do appreciate the fill from inventory button though. That one's really sick. I didn't expect that. But yeah, I would love to see the ability to sort that warehouse as well. Another one, being able to switch channels without having to leave to the main menu and come back in game, especially during times where there might be a queue. This would be really nice to have alongside a potential grace period timer to where if there ever was a situation with the big queue, if you manage to get DC'd, then you have about 60 seconds to get back in game without being impacted by it. Something else, and this is more tied to the ranking system. It feels weird to have a ranking system where the PvE and PvP points are tied to who's in your guild, as opposed to how much of that currency was farmed while they were in your guild. I think the latter would make more sense on that one. For a feature request, it would be cool if you could use, but I'm assuming this is probably going to come with the worker system, some kind of transportation to transport your goods from town to town, and all it might take is spending some coin and waiting for it to be delivered like in BDO. Another thing about the chat specifically, being able to type /C or do whatever, like change whatever tab, without your chat tab automatically switching to that specific one. I see that we do have a little bit of a chat setup here, but if we had a chat filter that lets you create different chat channels as well, that'd be really, really nice. Another one I pulled from the community is that guild upkeep should be scaled based on members. I've read people saying that the guild upkeep is too expensive even for just 1 or 2 players. And last but not least, something that I think would be really, really nice is having a mass deletion button in your inventory, basically allowing you to delete the junk, the green items, etc., or being able to confirm deletion by pressing enter. So that way when you want to delete something specific, you can just press enter instead of having to click up here for delete, and it makes it way easier. Oh, and one more I wanted to mention that I just realized during editing that I didn't include was having more pet types. Right now we only have the collector and the woodcutting pet types, but it would make sense if we had them for all the professions such as mining, etc. And also, but just a quick side note, it'd be really cool if it was either a profession or the bow and crossbow were actually capable of taming animals in the world. We've already got some hunting-based combat pets like bears and rhinos, so I think it'd be a really cool opportunity. Also, if I remember correctly, in CBT2 the life staff was capable of summoning a skeleton, so the infrastructure already seems to be there, but it looks like that skill may have been replaced. But that's surprisingly going to be all for now, folks. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about everything that probably needs a tweak, but as time goes on, I'd like to make more of these episodes, bringing that to light. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about this, and also what would you want tweaked, just so I can have that jotted down and ready for next time. Have a good one, folks.